Okay, so apparently there is an error in our application, so I'll pause the video here and do a bit of debugging, and I'll bring up the findings when I found the error. Okay, so it seems that I missed a comma right after the declaration of our HTML service provider, so I'll add that there. Go back to our browser, refresh the page, and as you can see, the form now works. Okay, so let's go back to our create view. Let's add 2 more fields there for the username and the email as well. Okay, so actually we already have one for username, so we don't need to add that. What we need is one for password as well. Okay, so I'll just change this form label to email and this one to email as well. So instead of this being text, it has to be password. Okay, so let's change this to password. So now let's go back to our browser and let's refresh. We say username, email, password, and one more field that we need to add is the submit button. So if you guess right, it should be from submit. Okay, so refresh that. As you can see, we have a submit button here. And these are all just regular HTML input fields. As you can see in the inspect for Chrome here, we have the labels and the input fields here. All right, don't worry about the styling for now. We just focus on the functionality. All right, so let's go to the users controller, and we changed the handler for the form submission to return to us all the fields for that submission. Okay, so instead of doing request only and selecting some fields, we're going to return all. Okay, so now let's put a username here. Let's say Lamin, and an email, lamin@yahoo.com, and the password of Lamin as well. So now when we submit, you should see that username, email, and password have been submitted to that action. Okay, so you may be wondering what this token property is. It's available there, and even though we did not add a token property to our list of form fields, it is still being shown by Laravel. All right, so this is just the security measure that Laravel provides for you. So it is not filled. What I mean by that is it's an empty token because we did not specify the web middleware for our routes. That is the user's route. So in order for us to fill that, we have to move our resource routes underneath this group here so that the web middleware gets applied to it. And that's not all. We also have to explicitly echo out the token when we are creating our form. So now here, let's just say form, and then we just pass in token. And of course, this has to be single curly braces. So now when we go back here, let's go back to our form. I'll show you inside the inspector tab here. Let's open up our form. We should see a token being filled. Let me just refresh this. And as you can see, we have a hidden token there with a value. So now let's just submit the form, and you will see that the token is being filled. Okay, so I'll just submit this, and as you can see, now the token has some value. Okay, this is just a way for Laravel to help you secure your application so that nobody can submit forms to your application. If the tokens don't match, you'll get a token mismatch exception. So now let's go back to our users controller and fill out the rest of the store method there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take a user variable, and inside there we're going to get all the values that we need from the request property or parameter that's being passed in. So request only username, email, and for the password, we're going to select the password, but then we're going to have to hash it there. So we say user password equals to hash, which is a class that Laravel provides for you so that you can secure your passwords. Okay, so hash make, and then we're going to pass in user password. Okay, so now instead of returning this, let's create the user. So we're going to use a user class. We say user create this is the user model we're referring to, and then we pass in the user variable. Let's just look up here to make sure that we are importing the user model. Okay, we're doing that right now. So instead of returning all the requests, we're just going to return the newly created user. So here we're going to say user or new user equal to that. Or actually, instead of just returning the new user, let's do a redirect. So we can do redirect to, and then we can do / users. Okay, so let's go back here and try that. So back, password, let's just say Lamin, and then submit, and it says class hash not found, and we have a namespacing issue. So I think if I remember correctly, it's in the global namespace. So we're going to do /hash, and the same for redirect as well. So we'll save that and go back to the browser. So back to our create form here, let's just re-enter the values there. So let's we've entered the username, email, and the password. Let's do Lamin as a password, and we submit, and we get this error. Okay, let's see what that means. So it's submitting the email and the password, but it's not submitting the username. Okay, basically we do not have a username column in our database. We only have a name column. So for the username, let's change that to be name. Okay, so we have name here, and in our controller as well, let's try to select the name. All right, so back to our browser, let's go back to the form, let's refresh. Now we have name, so I'm going to select Lamin as the name, and lamin@yahoo.com, and then Lamin as password. So now if everything goes right, we should be redirected to the users list page, which lists all the users in the database. So submit, and we have an error. Apparently the folder which the sqlite file lives in does not have write permissions. So I'll just change that quickly. So let's see, ls database. Okay, so I'll just do a quick chmod of everything. And everything else inside it. Okay, so now that should work. Let's just refresh that once more, and now we have Jim, Eric, and Lamin. So basically let's do that once more, and I'll explain what just happened. So create, I'll just do Lisa, so Lisa at yahoo.com, and we'll do the password as Lisa. I'll just submit that. That creates Lisa and adds her to the database, and then it redirects us to the users list table page, and all the users are listed out. Okay, so basically what's happening is we're just selecting all the values from the user request, creating a new user, and then redirecting to the users page. And in the users page, which corresponds to the index route, what it does is queries the database for all the users, and then shows us the users.index view, which just loops through all the users and just lists their names out for us. Okay, so that's it guys for forms, and as usual there's lots more to be done with forms, and we'll cover all those as we progress along in this introduction to Laravel 5. I hope you're enjoying it so far. I will see you soon in another video. Cheers, bye bye.